Hello, my name is Michael Stardust, and you're watching Every Guitar a Story. Welcome to the 7th episode of Every Guitar a Story, and happy Halloween, by the way. Hope you all are having a great pumpkin season full of all the wild, spooky, spectacular horror movies and creepy music that we all love so much. I've got another great episode lined up for you, where I show you what I think is a really cool guitar, and then we talk to my longtime friend and brother from another mother, Charles Green. So this show, being all about guitars and the people who play them, I thought I would give you a little backstory on what brought me to this next guitar. It was Black Friday 2019, and I had just seen Dwight Yoakam a few weeks earlier with my good buddy and bandmate Garrett Donovan. Now for those of you that don't know, Dwight plays a blonde Epiphone Casino, much like the one that John Lennon used to play. If you haven't seen the video for John's offshoot band, the Dirty Mac, performing Your Blues at the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, do yourself a favor, stop this video right now and go check it out. It remains, to this day, one of the most badass performances ever laid down, fucking period. Anyway, that is when I fell in love with the semi-hollow body, electric Gibson 335 shaped guitars. Not to mention the badass guitar slinger Dragon from the Helicopters plays these semi-hollow 335s. So back to Black Friday 2019. I just got a nice little Christmas bonus check and I went guitar shopping. As you do, you pick them all up and you strum a bit, you pick a bit, noodle around and see which one speaks to you. And I ended up with this. It's a D'Angelico Premier DC or dual cut. It's just got this really great resonance that I love. It just, you pick it up and it sings to you. It just sounds great. And D'Angelico has two lines of guitars. They have the Excel, which I believe is their made in America version, substantially more expensive. And then they have these, which is the Premier line. And this one, I believe, was made in Indonesia. What's the line? Some Indonesian junk going around? Well, I tell you what, this thing is no junk. I played every manner of guitar that day, and this thing stood up to guitars 4 times as expensive. Anyways, it's got some really amazing features that I like. It's really nicely built. It's got binding on the front and back edge of the body. Got binding on the neck. Jumbo frets. Got the Seymour Duncan humbuckers that sound really nice. It's just a really cool guitar that I dig playing. I mean, that whole summer of COVID, this was my back patio sipping on a lemonade guitar. I think part of my desire to play this style of guitar came from the fact that at some point, someone wrote up a review of Basement Tapes and called us folk rock, and we were like, fuck it, let's run with it. So a guitar like this, it really has the versatility to do it all. Anyways, let's shift gears and move to one of my favorite heavy guitar players, Charles Green. Here he is. Man, it's good to see your face. It's been a minute.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. How are you doing out that way?
Oh, doing all right, considering,
Right on, right on, right on. Yeah, so how many projects do you have going now?
Right now, musically, I've got 1.5.
Okay, right. I hear you. I hear you.
I've got the new thing that's going ahead full blast, and then the old thing, which is kind of tapering off, and hopefully it comes back again. We'll see.
Right on. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
So, okay, we're recording. Let's just start off. This is my friend Charles Green, who I've known for, it's probably been 30 some years. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah. Long time.
It's been a long time. But
back to the basement days. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It all started in a basement. We're probably still in a basement by the looks of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Or garage, but yeah, as it were.
So when I met you, I believe you were playing with a band called Oliver Twist. Was that your first band?
That was my first band, and the funny thing about that was some guys that I knew came up to me and they're looking for a singer. And, my experience singing really was group singing in the basement of Derek Reynolds' basement with everybody else singing punk songs, so sometimes, around the microphone, many times not, so, but I wanted to sing. So when they asked me to be their lead singer, I was like, oh yeah, I can do it, so, so we were, at the time doing punk rock covers, grunge covers, and, trying to write our own songs here and there. But it was just a fun time because everyone's, trying to do something with music at the time. So it was cool.
Yeah, right on. So since then, how many bands have you been in?
Oh, let's see. Oliver Twist. From there, we went on to CCA, which was my first original band that I actually, sang in, wrote lyrics, and had to come up with my own material. And then from there, I wanted to write, so that's when I started really taking the guitar more seriously because I wanted to write my own songs. So
Yeah.
then I was in a band called The Broken Oath for quite some time.
Yep.
That was, there was some metal infused in that, of course, but it still had my old, punk rock influence there. And did a lot of experimenting and whatnot there. So I've had other projects since. Honestly, it all kind of evolved into what I'm doing now, which is really, composing, sitting in a room and, used to be come up with a cool riff and you're like, oh, I got a song there, now as I get older, I hear the guitar, I hear the drums, I hear the bass, I hear layers, and movements and arrangements, so now I'm putting my energy into that, mostly, and I've enjoyed music more, and this creative process has been the funnest. So the projects I'm in now, 20 and Back is the live band for some of the stuff I've been writing, and I have a studio project called Infinity Sunsets that I'm working on as well. So soon I'll be putting some things out. I don't know if the album is in vogue these days, but track here, track there, throw them around, and
whatever the kids call it. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right. 99-cent tracks. Yeah.
How old were you when you started playing guitar?
I doodled around with it for many years. I Mrs. Heimbach's guitar class in 3rd and 4th grade, and I was terrible. So then I went away from it for a while and noodled around when I was singing in bands, but once again, didn't really take it super serious. It all really came together for me. I was 27 years old when I really started to understand the fretboard and where to go, what I wanted to do with it. So it was a little bit later than a lot of people, but.
Yeah, I definitely understand coming to it late. I think about all the time I had on my hands as a kid. If I could have been practicing then, how good I'd be now.
Oh man, all those fundamentals that I just skipped right over, but we there is also there's some beauty in kind of finding things in your own way as well there. Absolutely. That's what I found now. So yeah,
for sure. So what was your first guitar that you owned?
Oh, it was a crappy Squier Stratocaster, and honestly, the Squier Strats now are actually pretty good.
Yeah,
some people are actually buying them and gigging them, so, but back then they were kind of like toys and nothing special, but it was the first one I had saved up my, $199 to get. So I was pretty excited to have it, at the time. And I wish I'd still had it now. Back then, things get lost to the pawn shop when you're young and stupid. So that was one of those things, but
yeah, for sure. How many guitars do you own currently?
Currently, my thing now is I like to have guitars that cover a lot of different tunings, but I also don't want to have a lot of guitars just sitting around that I'm not playing. So I think I have about 5 or 6 right now that are they all end up in drop C at some point in time because that's kind of how I hear things. So if it sounds good in drop C, then I'm like, oh, it's a good guitar. It's going to sound good in any other tuning, you know. But I always get them, and I'm, you know, say I'm going to keep them in standard, and then I like, you know, I got to tune it down to see if it's. I've been playing in drop C since 2001, you know, so It's kind of my go-to tuning. Now when I play in standard, it's like to me, that's a new box of toys. You know, I'm, you know, going back and learning blues scales and, like I said, stuff I'd skipped over long ago, you know, but I found my own language in this tuning, and that's, you know, what I'm exploring more now. For me, it just gives me more notes and chords to play with. So that's why I like down tuning, not to get a heavy chug or anything like that. I get more guitar out of it. So.
And like you say, if you've discovered your own language, you're on to something for sure.
Yeah. So it works for me. And like I say, if people like the stuff or they hate it when I put it out, I've found my voice, so I'm happy with it, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's your favorite guitar right now?
My favorite guitar. So that's kind of tough because I like PRSs, but the guitars I play mostly are copies of PRSs, but I've Frankensteined them into what I wanted, you know. So I found this company out of Germany. It was Thomann, and the brand is Harley Benton. So it's kind of funny because a lot of YouTubers that I follow were talking about them, and there was a particular model that they were raving about, and they were like, it's only, you know, $200. So I was like, nah, you know. But my thinking was, gal, $200. If it was, you know, something that I didn't like or love, I wasn't out too much.
Harley Benton, right? Dude, here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great guitars for the money.
I got this girl.
Yeah.
And same thing, the old Harley Benton there. But I put in the pickups that I like, and you know, threw the old Silver Surfer in there, and so no, they're really what I'm looking for in a guitar these days is something that's very well-rounded, articulate, full sounding. If I want to dirty it up, I want it to be articulate, and not muddy, you know, dirty. And if I clean it up, I want it to sound really good, you know. So I want something that's very versatile, and that's what I found in both. You know, once again, these Harley Bentons. I have a PRS sitting here, and I got to tell you, these hold up very well to it. You know, this, like I say, this black one, I pick up more than any other guitar that I have because it's always there with everything I do. So
yeah,
that's my go-to live one now. In the studio, I go between that one and the PRS to track and whatnot. So
yeah, right on. So you're saying that you modified the pickups on there?
Yeah, I like high output ceramic pickups nowadays. So once again, I'm still using distortion. Even in my old age, I'm finding something organic to do with it here, you know. So I need pickups that, once again, stay articulate with the high gain. I don't want the distortion to cover up what, you know, I like to use really big chords. Always been a huge Helmet fan, you know.
Yeah.
And Page Hamilton was a disciple, if you will, of Glenn Branca, who used multi-chords to get this big organic sound, you know. So that's what I'm doing with distortion now, and I need pickups that give you enough oomph, you know, to pull that off. So
yeah.
So these are Dragonfires, which are another cheap, you know, pickup brand, but they work great. So
yeah, that's awesome. You were mentioning alternate tuning, so you do pretty much C standard. Are there other tunings that you mess with?
Basically drop D flat, and you know, drop C, CGC, FAD are the two that I go to a lot. I like E flat. more and more. There's a lot of, when I do play in standard, I like that flat, just a little bit more grit to it there. And a lot of the Alice in Chains stuff, some cool riffs that Cantrell writes with that tuning. So I've been playing with that more lately, but I like to, once again, going to just standard. E standard is, to me, I'm like, oh wow, you find a blues lick and I'm like, cool, I've never done it. I've always played punk rock and a lot of rock is blues derived, but I think when you have a punk rock background, kind of getting away from what everyone else was doing, which is why I kind of was like, oh, I don't need to, sit down with a guitar and learn what everyone else was learning. I'm gonna bang it out myself. And like I said, there's some good in that, but there's some things that I wish I'd learned earlier on and that I could apply now. And I'm still learning it. It's just a longer road to travel. So
yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of it, is that there's always something to learn. It's
yeah.
With the alternate tunings, do you find you have to use heavier gauge strings?
Oh yeah. I thought in the past that I needed very heavy strings. I use 10 to 52s now. I've gone above that. I've gone not too far below that. But what I found sound wise is the lighter the string that you can get away with using, I think the better sound you're going to get, even when those lower tunings, I like a little bit of brightness. The heavier you go, you kind of lose a little bit of that. So I was going with 12 to 52s for a while, and they felt like wire to me. And, and I mean, I think they stood up as well as they could, but coming back down, and I like the sound better, and it feels better. The action's a little bit faster. And
yeah,
bends are more comfortable.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
With this heavy kind of stuff that you're playing, are you using a lot of pedal effects?
Yes, more effects than I've ever used before. I always said I wanted to use a lot of effects, but I always ended up using a clean to dirty, clean dirty. Now almost every clean that I use is layered with some kind of flanger or chorus or something,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Deftone fan. Hum is a band that I really like a lot as well, and they use a lot of effects and distortion. And a lot of the early shoegaze stuff that I used to listen to is what I would point to as the biggest influence toward what I'm doing right now. So
drench everything with reverb.
Yeah, you drench the cleans and go big with layered distortion, But once again, when I was young, I didn't know the difference between a giant wall of mud and a wall of sound. You know what I mean? And yeah, everything in the same frequency. Two guitars and the bass doing the same thing. All we're all in the bass, low frequency, so it's just sounded not. At the time, it was just, miraculous. But as you get older, I'm like, it's a little cringy, but you learn, thankfully.
For sure. So. What sort of amplification are you using these days?
I go between, I've used a lot of different things. I use plugins a lot lately on the computer. So dabble around with a lot of different things that way. I use a Boss Katana in my room. It's just a really versatile. I actually took it to the studio, and I was not sure about it until I heard playback from it, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty dang good," So, and the guy, when he saw it, the studio engineer, he wasn't sure about it either. He was kind of like, "What do you got there? Is this a bass thing?" And I was like, "No, it's just wait, And no, that sounds really good. I have that playing through a vintage 30 cab 212 I have a buddy of mine who has, orange amps. He's got it all, basically. And when I want a tube amp, I really go for the orange sound more, a big warm sound there. So I guess as far as tubes go, orange is what I go to with that, But I believe that you got to make what's available sound good, and that's, use what's available. So go.
Yeah,
And then if
absolutely.
you can find something that sounds really great, you're awesome. But I still have a lot of the old punk rock ethos. If I could find a pawn shop gem that I could make sound good, that kind of to me makes me glow, a little bit more than if I find the more expensive thing that's supposed to sound good. And, so that's kind of, how I approach things now. But, you have two purists, and I just find that technology is closing the gap on so many things sonically that it's apples and oranges you can get some good sounds out of a lot of different things. So,
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So do you have any guitars that got away, the ones that you wished you'd kept?
oh, one to this day, and it still hurts. Funny you asked that. It was a Mexican Fender Telecaster, and once again, people talk about the American versus the Mexican-made Fenders, but this thing was the sweetest sounding thing that I could have found. And I don't know, had a bass player in a band who, what is it with bass players that want to play guitar? What is it with those guys, But he's just like, oh, Charles, he's on me about it for quite some time. And I had a PRS that I really hadn't broke in. So it's kind of like, it might not get the playing time that it deserves. So at the time I was just like, I let it go. And I let that go in a PV amp, Triple X. And once again, I didn't think I needed a big giant 100-watt, killer, but if you're going to have that, that was the one to have. And I'd say the same thing about that Telecaster. If I knew what I had at the time, but I didn't know that it would sting to this day. so that would be a Mexican Telecaster, all blacked out, and she's a pretty girl, but I don't know. It happens.
So you got rid of it at a pawn shop? Do you ever see it around?
No, that one actually, I sold to my bass player, and then I told him if he ever sold it, he'd have to sell it back to me, and I don't know if he kept to that deal or not, honestly. We had talked about it once and he still had it then, but no, I only lost that one to the pawn shop, and I was like, never again. That was, like I said, I was in my 20s, and, just stuff happens.
So what do you consider to be the holy grail of guitars? If you could have any guitar in the world, what would it be?
Cal, I used to think that I would get a Core PRS, and I think they are works of art, but once again, I feel more comfortable with something that I can bang around, that I can, add a little character to, and I would not want to do that with something like that. So I think there's what's the company called? Balaguer or something of that nature, where you can have them custom made.
Yeah.
I'll get you the name, but I would probably have a guitar custom made exactly to my specs, pickups, everything down to the letter, and I think would be the holy grail of, then I couldn't complain about it because it was everything that I asked for, so there's been a couple companies that I've, looked at, but Kyle, I wish I could get that name right, but yeah, that company is there's a YouTuber called named Fluff, and
Okay.
yeah, he's the guy who turned me on to him. He has a custom made jobby there, but custom made custom made, something I could call my own, you know. So that would be the holy grail. Above any, you know, there's a lot of guitars that I see from a lot of different brands that, you know, you get a little gas over and drool over and whatnot. But
Yeah.
just like my Frankensteins, you know, I prefer getting it the way I want it, and you know, I've turned into that guy. So
Yeah, for sure. Any chance you could plug in and play something for us?
um, give me 2 seconds here.
Sure.
Okay, let me see
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, very cool. Right on.
It has so many layers now that I have to try to pick a part to play, because I'm like, oh, do I pick rhythm 1, rhythm 2, the lead, you know? So that's how multi-layered it's become. You know?
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah. So in these situations, I'm like, oh, you know, which is why I have to have. I'd have 2 other guitar players if I could. I only have 1 to work with, but I'd love to have, once again, to make that organic sound with a bunch of different guitars would be really cool. But guitar players we're a weird breed, and getting a bunch of us to do the same thing would be a tough task. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
One of the things that I think is always really interesting about you and your approach to things is just how you've combined this aspect of like discipline and health and philosophy and spirituality, and it's all there with you and you hear it come through, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's influence can come from more than just the music genre of choice or the music that you like. You know, I listen and look for things out in the world and within people, and you know, I try to put all that into the creative process. I think that's what makes it sincere. You know, when you once again, it used to be, God, I can put 2 chords together and man, I'm rocking. You know, and once again, as you get older and you know, you see some life things happen, you once again you try to put that to expression in some way, and I think that you know, Gal music is just one of those, and it's free, you know.
Yeah,
So it's therapy. It's therapy.
definitely, for sure. I know there's some days if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, what is off? What is going wrong? It's like, well, duh, you haven't picked up a guitar today.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of people who once again want to be. A good example is I loved Eddie Van Halen. As far as a guitar player, he was just amazing, you know. But did I ever want to play like him? I wouldn't have like cried if I could. I wouldn't have, you know, but that's not what I was chasing. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, how he will take a note and make it this, you know, experience. You know, he'll take a handful of notes and do that. And I think that is, once again, to me, that's more valuable than, you know, somebody who can take, you know, a scale and play it at lightning speed with no soul. You know, to me, that's wanking, and I never wanted to wank.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Charles. It's been great talking to you.
Right on. Like I said, you'll edit this and make it look good. Or at
I'll
least
do my
better
best.
than my jumping around in here. But I really enjoyed catching up with you and getting to be on here. And I was looking forward to this for quite some time. So thank you for the time. And I'm gonna promote your page and let people know that we're still around and we're still doing our thing.
Awesome. Rad. Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you.
All right. Thanks for your time, my friend.
That's going to do it for this episode of Every Guitar Story. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Make sure to get vaccinated and stay safe out there. Until next time, namaste, motherfuckers.